Miss Foster here. Today, instead of reading two different poems, we're going to read one longer poem. Now, most poems are still going to be shorter than stories, but some of them are still kind of long. This is the poem that we're reading today. The thing that I'm really going to focus on today is the words that the author uses to create a picture for me, the reader. And that is our point today. Poets create pictures with their words. After we do this assignment, I am going to hand this over to you. I am going to have you draw the picture you see, tell me the words that helped you make that picture, and then I have a question that I want for you to answer in writing. But we'll get to that after I read. Today's poem not only is sort of long, it has a really long title. It is in one of the books we've been using, Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein. The title of this poem is Sarah Cynthia Sylvia Stout Would Not Take the Garbage Out. As I read this poem, I am going to be stopping and writing down some words that helped me create a picture. I want you at home to write down some different words than I write down that helped you create a picture in your head. Let's get started. Sarah Cynthia Sylvia Stout would not take the garbage out. She'd scour the pots and scrape the pans, candy the yams and spice the hams. And though her daddy would scream and shout, she simply would not take the garbage out. And so it piled up to the ceiling. Coffee grounds, potato peelings, brown bananas, rotten peas, chunks of sour cottage cheese. It filled the can, it covered the floor. It cracked the window and blocked the door. With bacon rinds and chicken bones, drippy ends of ice cream cones, prune pits, peach pits, orange peels, gloppy glumps of cold oatmeal, pizza crusts and withered greens, soggy beans and tangerines, crusts of black burned buttered toast, grisly bits of beefy roast. The garbage rolled on down the hall. It raised the roof. It broke the wall. I'm going to pause. I read a whole lot of that poem. I'm going to go back to the beginning. And if you noticed, my face was going, ew, ew. Oh, that's so gross. That's because I made a picture in my head and I was imagining what this house would look like with all this garbage in it, and how, not just how it would look, but also the author gave us some ideas of how it might smell. All right, so I'm going to read some of the parts that are just making my stomach feel ugh. And so it piled up to the ceilings. That is how far the garbage was reached. It went up to the ceiling. At one point it says chunks of sour cottage cheese. Have you ever smelled milk or something that has milk in it that's gone sour, that's gone bad? It smells so terrible. This part really got me. Gloppy glumps of cold oatmeal. Ew. Have you ever left oatmeal sitting out and it's all gets cold and slimy? It gets gloppy. Ooh, that word just grossed me out. Gloppy. Ugh. grisly bits of beefy roast. Those little parts of when you have like a roast beef or a pot roast and you have the ends of the meat that are just dried out and gross. They're grisly. Ugh. Okay, I'm gonna keep reading. Ugh. Greasy. I'm gonna go back to the where we left off, because this part's also important. The garbage rolled on down the hall. So we know it's gone up to the ceiling. Now it's gone down the hall and it raised the roof and broke the walls. So the garbage is busting out of the house. There's so much garbage that it broke the wall. That's how much garbage there is. It's like the house is stuffed full of garbage. Greasy napkins, cookie crumbs, globs of gooey bubble gum, cellophane from green bologna. Not regular colored bologna, green bologna. Ugh. Rubbery, blubbery macaroni, peanut butter caked and dried, curdled milks and crusts of pie. The word curdled, when you have curdled milk, it means it's gone bad. It's gone sour. Curdled. And it is gross. It smells so bad. Moldy melons, dried up mustard, eggshells mixed with lemon custard, cold French fries, and rancid meat. Rancid means that it's gone rotten and it smells like something that's gone rotten. Something that has just died is rancid. That's talking about something that's so stinky that you just can't even stand to be around it. Yellow lumps of cream of wheat. At last the garbage reached so high that finally it touched the sky. So the garbage has broken her house and it is now going up to the sky. And all the neighbors moved away and none of her friends would come to play. And finally, Sarah Cynthia Stout said, "Okay, I'll take the garbage out." But then, of course, it was too late. The garbage reached from state to state, from New York to the Golden Gate. So New York's on this side of the country, on the east side, and the Golden Gate is in California on the west side. So there was so much garbage, it went all the way to the sky and across the whole United States. PU. And there in the garbage she did hate, poor Sarah met an awful fate that I cannot right now relate, because the hour is much too late. But children, remember, Sarah Stout, and always take the garbage out. So, there's a lesson in there. I'm sure your parents are shaking their head. Yes, because there's a lesson in there. These are some of the things that the author said that helped me understand how much garbage there was. To the ceiling, it broke the wall. There are things that helped me to see how gross this looked. The gloppy oatmeal, the grisly meat, the green bologna. And then there are words that help me understand what it smells like. Words like sour and curdled and rancid. So Shel Silverstein, when he wrote this poem, he did not just paint a picture for my eyes. He painted a picture for my nose too. And that's something that poets do. They don't just paint us a picture for what we can see in our head, but they want us to understand how everything feels, how everything smells, how gross it was. So that is one way that poets create the picture. They create the experience for you when they are writing poetry. What the assignment I have for you today is going to be in a little bit of a different format just because there are some questions with it. There's going to be a link in this post to what will look like a practice sheet. You can, if you have a printer and you want to, print this sheet off and complete it. Or if you've been keeping a notebook, I would think it would be better just to do this work in your notebook. You do not need to write the questions. I just want you doing the task. The first thing is I want you to draw a picture of what you saw in your head when I read Sarah, Cynthia, Sylvia Stout would not take the garbage out. Then I want you to pick out 3, 4, or 5 words that really painted the picture for you. My words would be, it broke the wall, curdled, and rancid. Because to me, those are the 3 grossest words on there if I'm thinking about garbage breaking the walls of the house. So I want you to write those 3, 4, or 5 words down that helped you make a picture in your head. And then I want you answering these 2 questions. Why do you think Shel Silverstein wrote this poem? What lesson can we learn from it? So I want you to think about that and write down the answer. And then I want you to show the answer to your parents when they ask, and then they'll know that when they ask you to do something.